Google Search Console is a free Google tool that helps you see how your website is performing in Google search and how to go about improving your performance so that you get more traffic to your website. Now, if this isn't a tool that you're already familiar with or that you don't use as part of your existing SEO strategy, we're going to change that today. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use Google Search Console, even if you're a complete beginner, and how to get the most out of it. So you're going to know all the parts of Google Search Console. Now, this isn't a tool that you need to use regularly, but I do recommend that you check your account once a month or any time that you make large content changes to your website. Now, do know that if you hover over this video, you're going to see timestamps along the bottom here. That way you can jump to any particular section that you are working on. If you are a beginner, you're not familiar with this tool, just watch this through from the beginning. However, this is a good resource to go ahead and bookmark. That way, anytime you are in Google Search Console and you want to refer back to a particular section, you can come back to the video and jump to the part that you need. Now, before we jump into Google Search Console, I do want to let you know about another free resource that will help you grow your website. It's called Site Growth Deals. Site Growth Deals tracks hundreds of digital marketing tools that help you grow your website traffic, generate more revenue, save time, and overall get better results. And then they send you all the discounts, the deals, sales promos that they can find for these companies as they happen. So visit sitegrowthdeals.com so you don't miss out on any of the savings, especially on the revenue generating tools. It's completely free and it only takes you 5 seconds to sign up. Okay, let's get started. Before you begin using or accessing the data in your Google Search Console account, you're going to need to verify that you are actually the owner of this website. If you have already established your account, you'll simply be able to select that property, your website, using the property selector here on the left. Otherwise, you're going to need to add a property, which is going to give you the 2 options that you see here. So you're going to be able to use either the domain option or the URL prefix. Using the domain option allows you to track your entire site. We are going to be using the URL prefix because this is actually much easier to verify, gives you more options. And if you have already set up your Google Analytics account for this website using the same Google account, it's going to be easy to verify this. So we'll simply type in our URL here. Now make sure that when you do so, that you are matching the URL exactly that you use for your Google Analytics account. This means if you have set it up using HTTPS or not, or use www or not, you're going to want to use the same one here, and we will click continue. Now this will give you a confirmation, assuming that you have logged in to your Google account that you've set up Google Analytics with. Otherwise, it is going to give you a few options for how to go about verifying your account. Now, there are a number of verification methods. Typically, the HTML file is going to be the easiest. Also, of course, using Google Analytics or even Google Tag Manager. And it's going to give you a script. You simply add that to your website, which is easy to do. If you have a theme, no coding required, that you can pop it in there. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop that in the comments below at any time, and I'm happy to help you there. Once you are verified, you don't need to go through this process again unless the verification tag that you've added to your website is for some reason removed. But it is important to know that once you have verified your account, it still may take a day or so for the data to start showing up. So once you're verified, you might need to wait a couple of days and then come back, and now you can start seeing the data. So now we have verified our property. We are in our Google Search Console dashboard here with the property. It's already been verified. It has data. So now we're going to be able to look at all of the different reports that we have access to. So I'm using one that's been set up for a bit so that you can see what it's going to look like with more data and what yours is going to look like very soon. Now on the left-hand side, you're going to notice a large navigation, and there's several sections. We have performance, indexing, experience, enhancements, security and manual actions, and we have a couple of additional sections down here. We're going to go through each of these sections one by one, so you're going to know what all of the reports mean, how to use them, so you get the most out of each of these. So we're going to start at the top under the performance section here. Now you'll notice that there are 2 sections. We have our search results and we have discover. Now this is going to show you how much traffic you're getting from Google search, how often people see the results and actually click on your page, what are the search queries that are being used to discover your site's content, and which countries and devices are used to find your site. So this has a lot of information here, as you can see. Starting here in search results, you're going to notice that we have this nice chart here at the top with different search metrics. We have our total number of clicks, and you'll see that the date range right now is for the past 3 months. We've had 102 clicks and 6.75 million impressions. This is the number of times that people have actually seen your web page in search results, and 102,000 is the times they've actually chosen to click on it. So you can see here that we have an average click-through rate of 1.5% currently, and our average position is 17.9. So that is something that we can start to improve on. So as you are starting to work on your website, you want to improve any of these numbers, you're going to be able to look at the last 3 months, and then you can say, well, you know what, let's now look at the last 7 days. Let's see if this has started to improve here, and we can see how the numbers change. Now, another thing that we can do is we can also look at the comparison. So we can compare the last 3 months to the previous 3 months, or we can compare the last 28 days to the previous 28 days. If you have seasonal content, for instance, like you have summer content and winter content, you can also compare, let's say, a custom date range. So I want to look at the start and end date of the summer months in 1 year compared to the summer months of a prior year. And then we can also compare our click-through rates, the impressions, and see how that is improving. And what we'll also want to compare during that time is this table view down below. Now you'll see in the table we have a number of tabs. We have queries, pages, countries, devices, search, appearance, and dates here. So the queries, this shows us the keywords that people are using to actually find our web page in search results. So this gives us an idea of if we need to better optimize certain pages for the keywords that we're seeing are actually leading to click-throughs in search results. Now we can also come over to pages, and this is going to show us the pages that are receiving the most number of clicks in search results. So if you can see that the site has an average of 1.4% click-through, but we're receiving a 3.9% click-through for this particular page and an average position of 10. So if we're getting a good click-through rate, that might mean that we have a good meta title, good meta description, but maybe in order to boost this, we want to add some internal links on our website to boost that position. We want to make sure that we are better optimized for the search queries that that page is showing up for, and that can help us improve some of these numbers. Under countries, this is going to show us which countries actually bring us the most traffic. Also devices. Devices is very helpful because we want to see, do we have a lot of traffic coming in from mobile? Is it primarily desktop? And this can help us see, well, on mobile, we have a 1.8% click-through rate, and on desktop, we only have a 0.9. So we can start to look at the differences in appearance for those and make sure, of course, let's say this was flipped. We also want to make sure that our website is very mobile friendly. If we get the bulk of our impressions, the bulk of our click-through, the bulk of our visitors for mobile, this will start to give us some of that information. And under search appearance, this will tell us how we are actually appearing. Are we appearing in search? Do we have videos? Do we have any rich results like FAQs or recipes or reviews or site links or any of that that is appearing? This can give us some good information on that as well. So how do we get the most out of this here? We want to look for any low click-through rate, but that ones that have high impressions. And this is where we can sort by click-through rate, and we can look for the posts that have the lowest amount. So if we see that we're getting 16,000 impressions, but only 7 clicks, that's a 0% click-through rate, very, very low. That's not good. So what we can do is we can sort these columns here, and what we're looking for as we go through is any pages that have a high number of impressions, but a very low number of clicks. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to go look at the meta title and description. Is it something that creates curiosity, that makes people believe that you have the answers to what they're looking for so that they are more likely to click? That is the easiest way to be able to get more traffic from search results without having to do anything else. Simply use the content that you have that's getting a lot of impressions and see how you can get more people to click through with what they see there on the search results page. Now you can also look for queries. Just kind of go through the pages here, look for the queries and see, is anything missing? Is there any queries that should be showing up that they're not showing up, so that you can create more content or optimize the content that you have so that you can start showing up for the searches that you really want to be able to appear for. Now, if there's a page that you think that you should be ranking for and you're not, what you want to do is use the URL inspector tool. And this is going to let you know if there's any issues or errors with that page that are preventing it from coming up. So let's take a look at that tool. There are 3 ways that you can use the URL inspector tool. The first is by clicking up here at the top search box. That will allow you to do that. The second is by clicking on this URL inspection navigation bar here on the left. And anytime that you are in a report and you see a list of pages, if you hover over that page on the right here, you will see a search icon. Clicking that will automatically start an inspect URL. So if we click on this, it's going to go ahead and do that. And you'll see here that we have 3 sections. The first is going to be our Google Presence card. And this is really going to tell us one of 3 things. 1, that the URL is on Google, it's been indexed, it appears in search results. The second is that it does not appear on search results. And then the other one could be that, yes, it's been indexed, but there's some issues or errors that we need to look into and take care of here. The next section here, we can see that the page has been indexed. And clicking through here, this is going to give us some more information. It'll show where it is in the sitemaps, the last time that it's been crawled. So looking at this, it's only been a number of hours, and some additional information. Now, lastly, we have an enhancements and experience, and this is going to talk about mobile usability, breadcrumbs, Sitelinks. We'll come back to some of what this means here. But as you can see, it's all green. We have all check marks, so we're good to go. Now, in the event that we didn't, that's where we need to slow down. We need to click through this, and it's going to give us more information about what the error is and how to go about fixing it. Let's try another URL. Now we can see with this URL, our Google Presence box is showing us that the URL is not on Google. But we can actually see that it has been crawled, but it is not indexed. So we don't have a sitemap referring to it or another page referring to it at this time. So that's something that we can fix. And we won't see anything in the enhancement section until we actually get this URL indexed. So what we can do is a couple of things. We can go ahead and request that the page is indexed. But keep in mind that when we are on this report, it is only showing us the results from the last time that Google crawled this particular URL. And it shows us when that was here. If we want to actually see a live version of this page, we want to see, let's say we've made some changes, then we can actually test the live URL. So they'll go out and check how that page is right now. So we'll go ahead and click the test live URL button. We're going to see if the page can be indexed by Google, and it runs a test on the live website right now. That way, if we did fix an issue, this is going to tell us, does Google see this issue now? So if you want to see a live rendered version of your page by Google, this is really the only place that you're going to be able to do this and to be able to confirm that Google can index your page. So we'll pause for a minute while this report runs. So now the live test report has come back and it is good. And the page is now indexed on Google. Now, this is actually a new post that we tested out. So in just a matter of hours, Google has now indexed that page. So it is good to go. Now, if we had an error and we went ahead and fixed it, we tested the live test here, now we can go ahead and request indexing. So if we made any changes that it requested, whether this was structured data, enhancing any mobile issues, or made any major page changes, this is where we can come back and ask them to re-index that page. So now that we've looked at the URL inspector tool, let's jump over to the indexing section. The indexing category here has 4 different sections. We have pages, video pages, sitemaps, and removals. So if we click into the pages here, really in this whole index reporting section, we're going to be able to see which of your pages have been crawled and indexed by Google, as well as the ones they tried to crawl but were not able to index. This process is where Google is looking for the new and updated pages that they can add to their index so that they can display those in search results.
If they detect a new issue, you're going to receive an email about it, but you won't get more emails about the same issue. So you want to make sure that if you do receive an email that you're on it and you're checking to make sure that it has been fixed here. So here, when we look at the coverage, this is going to show us a summary here of all of the indexing issues on our website here. So we're going to see the number of pages that have not been indexed. Here it's showing us over 8,000, and it's saying that there's 9 different reasons why those pages have not been indexed. Now, just because a page is not indexed does not mean that is necessarily a bad thing. There are pages on your website that you don't want to have indexed. And here it's going to show us the number of pages that we do have indexed. We have over 1,000 pages that are indexed, and it has this chart here so we can see, are we getting more pages indexed? Are we getting less? Is it about the same? So typically what you're going to want to see, unless you're doing something specific, is you're going to want to see this be pretty steady. Now, it can fluctuate, the numbers can go up and down a little bit, but overall you want it to be relatively same, along the same level. Now, of course, as you are continuing to add new content, you're going to want to see that you're getting an increase in index pages here. Now, in the case of this particular site, we are seeing a downtrend, which can be a negative thing if you're not expecting it. We were expecting this as we were cleaning up a lot of old, irrelevant content we don't want to be updated, we feel is not positive for our site. So we've actually really cut down the number of pages, but you'll see if we can click on this impressions box here, we can see that the impressions have stayed relatively the same here as it was in the beginning to where it is now, even though our pages have gone down because we've cleaned up our content. That is actually good for SEO. Now we can look down here as to why pages are not indexed. And this is going to give us a list of all of the different issues, and then it's going to tell us the actual pages that have these issues so that we can go and have them fixed. So we can see there's a number of pages that are excluded by the no index tag, and we can see that that is one of the areas that is dropping. It has a downtrend here. And if we click on that, it's going to show us the URLs here. Now, a lot of the URLs that we're seeing, these are not ones that we are looking to actually have indexed. We have clean looking URLs on the website. So these are not ones that I'm concerned about. If we go back, we'll see that some have a 404 error, which means they cannot find the page. And we see that there has been an increase in those. So that's something we want to take a look at and see, are these pages that we want Google to be able to find an index? Should there be a redirect in place, or is this something that we don't really care about? So we don't always have to act on every single one, but ones that we see there's an issue, we want them to be indexing it, that's definitely where we want to pay attention to. So if we look at any of these and we see ones that are clear that there's issues with pages that we want, or we see that our high number of pages that are impacted, that's typically where we want to start fixing these errors. So when these are not indexed, it's giving us these errors, like a page has a no index tag telling Google specifically, don't index this page, or there's a 404 issue. These are the issues that are keeping it from actually appearing in search results, where the valid ones can be shown on search results. So there's nothing that you need to do for these pages. So quick summary, what you want to do here when you come in and check, you want to check and make sure that the chart shows that it is level, might fluctuate a bit, but overall it has the same level or is increasing depending on if you are adding new content to your website or not, and that there's nothing there. We also want to double check that there's errors and see if there's any errors that actually need to be resolved. And lastly, a lot of these issues, if you're not sure how to fix these, you're going to work with a developer in doing that. You can simply click the export button here and you'll be able to export a Google Sheet, an Excel sheet, CSV file that will contain all of the errors, all the issues, and you'll be able to send that over to your developer to work on.
The next report we'll look at is the video indexing report. If you do not have any videos on your website, you are not going to see this report, so don't panic if you do not have this report. Here you're going to see the number of pages that have a video on them and which of these videos are going to be able to be indexed. Now this is good because not only is your page going to be indexed and be able to appear in search results, but the video itself that is on the page can be indexed and be shown within search results as well. Now there's an additional thing that you can do to have your video appear, but we will get there when we get to the next section. But in this report, you're going to see how many index pages on your site contain a video that Google has indexed and the details about that index video. And you're also going to see how many index pages on your site contain at least one video, but Google could not index any video. And why not? So here we see that we have 97 videos that are actually indexed, but 7 of them are not indexed. And there's 2 reasons for that. So we see a reason here: Google could not determine the prominent video on the page. So this may mean that there is more than one video and it doesn't know which one it wants us to index for that particular topic. So here we'll be able to go in, we'll be able to scroll down, we'll be able to see the URLs that contain the video, the specific URLs of the video. So let's say it's embedded from YouTube in this case, and we can go in and resolve that issue there. Now, next up, we have the sitemap section. So a sitemap is a file that is going to tell Google what pages on your site that they should actually know about. So if you have a small site that has less than 100 pages, this is not a report that you really need to worry about. You don't need to worry about sitemaps. Or if you have a site that all of your pages can be found within one click from your homepage, this really isn't an issue. And the reason for that is because Google is going to be able to easily go to your homepage and it's going to be able to crawl all the other pages because it can easily find and access those pages. Now, if you can go to your homepage, but you cannot access all of your site's pages within one click, or you have a large website, that's when you really want to start paying attention to sitemaps. So that way Google is going to be able to find all of your content. So here we want to upload an XML sitemap. If you're not familiar with that, if you have a site that's less than 500 pages, you can use the free resource actually that I have listed down in the description below. You simply put in the URL of your site and it's going to generate that XML sitemap for you, listing out all of your different pages. And you can save that, upload it to your website, and then here you're going to add your URL and click submit. Now below, this is going to show you a history of all of the previous sitemaps that have been submitted. Now this will show you the type of sitemap. So for instance, you can submit a sitemap with all of your blog posts, all of your pages, and you can submit a separate one with videos, for example. That's not required. And it's going to show you, most importantly, the status here. You can see the one that they have most recently read, so you know which one they're going off of, and what the status is. So you can see here, this one is successful. This is how many pages, but you can see before one was submitted and they weren't able to actually access that. There was a problem. So this is definitely important to look at. So you definitely want to check this, because this report is going to tell you if Google has any issues at all with your sitemap, so you can make sure that they're indexing all the pages that you're trying to tell them about through that sitemap. Now, when you do submit a sitemap, Google actually tends to crawl that right away. And then if there is any issues, it's going to tell you specifically what the errors are. So you can go in, see what the error is, go to the help center if you need to figure out how to track down that error, be able to resolve it so that they can correctly crawl your sitemap. If you have any questions about that, just drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to help. The last section under indexing is removals. Now, the removal section here, this is if you have any content, whether it is a web page, it is an image, and you do not want that to appear in search results and you want to take it down right away, this is where you come to do that. So this is going to be the fastest way that you can get your resource actually removed. But it's very important to note that this removal is temporary. So this will get rid of it right away. This will be temporary, but it gives you that time to permanently remove that resource so it no longer appears. The other thing that is important to note about this is if that you have something appearing in search results, keep in mind, this is a Google tool, so it is only going to remove that from Google search results. So that means searchers can still go to other search engines and still be able to find that content. So that's why you want to take care of it permanently. So what we'll do is we can click on new request here. We're going to have 2 options. You'll notice the 2 tabs at the top. The first option is the temporarily remove URL. So here, this is where we can go to temporarily block the content for about 6 months is usually the time frame. And we'll simply enter the URL and click next. The second option that we have is clear cached URL. So let's say searchers go to the search results page, your web page is there, but what it says in the description, you don't like it, it's not right, for some reason you need that to to disappear now. What you'll do is you'll put in that URL and you're going to go actually to your page and you're going to update your title. You're going to update your description of what you would like to have appear. Before Google actually is able to recrawl that and index, your description is just going to show as no page description available. Google will recrawl it, they'll re-index it, and then the new description will appear. So that is the other option there. And then just click next to follow through. All right, you're doing great. We're moving right along to the experience section here. We first start on the page experience. This whole section is really about how users experience your site. And these things are not only important for your visitors, but they're really important for SEO. So you want to make sure that you're passing here. So under page experience, this is giving us a summary of the user experience of the visitors that are looking at your site. So we have a couple of things that we're looking for. We want to see that everything is positive here. We're doing really good on mobile. Below we're still doing really good on desktop. But you'll notice below each, we have a number of page experience signals. So we have core web vitals, mobile usability, and HTTPS. We want to make sure that they all say good. Otherwise, we want to make sure that we go in and we resolve any of those issues. So we start with the core web vitals, and this tests the speed, the responsiveness, the stability of the page loading experience for users. So this core web vitals report provides a rating of either good, needs improvement, or poor for each page. And a page must have a core web vitals rating of good in both, and this is going to get technical here for a second, CLS and LCP, and they need to be good or not have enough data in FID in order to get this good status. If what I said just went over your head, you're like, I don't know about core web vitals, I don't know what any of that means. Make sure to check the video that I did specifically about core web vitals, not only what it is and why it's important, but also more importantly, how to go about fixing it so you can get that good status on there. Incredibly important here. Now, mobile usability here, it is an absolute must to make sure that you have a good score here, especially as we looked at earlier with devices. This site has about 75% of their visitors on mobile. We want to make sure that those visitors who make up the bulk of our traffic have a good experience, that they're sticking around, because that is going to make our site as profitable as it can be. So with any of these, we can simply click through here. And again, just like with the other reports, it's going to tell us which ones are scoring as poor, which pages are scoring as needs improvement, and which ones are good. So you can see that this is something that we actually just recently fixed. We're definitely having issues. We start improving those. And then now all of the pages are appearing good and more pages are getting indexed. So that's starting to increase the number here. But as you can see, we can see a trend. So this is important when you're coming back and you're doing your monthly overview. Look at the trend on these reports. Are the trends going up? Meaning we're getting more and more poor scores. We're getting more and more needs improvements. Or you can see poor is on the downtrend. So we fixed those issues. So that's typically what you want to see, unless you're good, and then you'll just have a flat line there. But any of these issues, you're going to be able to click through, just like the other reports again, and you'll be able to see specifically what that issue is. And then same thing with mobile usability. We'll be able to see the charts. We can compare it with the impressions that we're getting, and we'll be able to see specifically why pages aren't usable on mobile. Now, we're not having any of these issues right now, but these are the common mobile usability issues. Text is too small to read on mobile. Clickable elements are too close together. So on desktop, let's say you have a menu and the items are far enough apart that people can distinguish which one they're clicking on. But on the mobile version, the site wasn't set up for mobile. So they're squished together and people have a hard time figuring out what they're clicking on. Or the content is wider than the screen, so they're having to do this horizontal swipe or scroll, and that's no good either. So that's why it's very important to make sure that we have a mobile version. It's designed specifically for those mobile devices as well. All right, you are doing great. We are already on to the enhancement section. As you can see, there are a number of sections here, but these are all about structured data. And if you're not familiar with that, structured data is simply extra information that you are giving to Google, you're giving to search engines to tell them more about what the page is about. And while this sounds simple, by doing this, you're taking a little bit of extra code, you're adding it to the web page to give search engines this information, and then it allows them to do some incredible things in the search results. So this actually can give you more visibility in search results. So instead of taking up a little bit room, you might just start to take up more room. You might start to be able to easily draw the eyes to your result to get more clicks. So this is absolutely worth your time doing here. So this section of the Search Console is really collecting all the insights, finding out all the ways that you can improve to be able to lead to some of the rich results. By rich results, I mean things like when you've gone to Google, you've looked for a product, for instance, and you see below search result listings, reviews, ratings, prices, availability, site links, and different information that help draw your eye to that particular result. And that's what you can do here in this section. So the first step that we have is breadcrumbs. Now, according to Google, a breadcrumb trail on a page just shows the position in the overall navigation, the hierarchy of a website. And it can help users understand where they are, how they got to. So you usually see the drill down from the home page down through categories and subcategories and so forth, drilling down. So a good example of this is on Amazon. When you're on a particular product, you often see the breadcrumbs listed at the top of that product page, showing how you navigated down to that particular page, even if you ended up going directly there from search results. Now, this is a newer feature in Google Search Console. So you can check if you have breadcrumb markup that has been implemented correctly on your website. So you can see here that we have this. We're all looking good. We're starting to get an increase here as our content is increasing. This is really more important now than it used to be because we're starting to see that Google, instead of actually putting the URL of a website, they're starting to put the breadcrumbs in the search result there, which gives more information to the searcher. So this is a great thing to be able to impact your SEO and also help benefit your users, your visitors as well. Now let's look at the events. Now, this report has been around for many years. It allows you to track the performance of your event listings in Google. So this site, as you can see, were all valid, but we used to have events on this particular site, and then now those events have all been removed. So you can see that's why there is the drop off here. But as with the other reports, if you have events that you want to appear in search results, this will tell you if you have correctly used the event structured data markup. This is something that if you are familiar with the event structured data markup, you can go in and add that to the code of your web page. If you are not, what you can do is use this free tool from Google called Data Highlighter. You want to make sure that you are logged in to your Google account associated with your Google Search Console account. And what you'll be able to do is click on Start Highlighting, and you'll be able to put in the URL of the page that you want to work on. And this is going to walk you step by step through simply highlighting the information that Google is looking for, from the name, the description, the dates of the event, and so forth. And if there are any errors in implementing this correctly on your website, you're going to see them and see how to correct them as well. Next up, we have FAQs, or frequently asked questions. Now, this is how you can actually go about adding a nice drop down below your search result, and it takes up more space on the search results page so you can get more eyes and typically more clicks when you have this. So if you have added FAQs on your site, you add in the FAQ schema, these might appear highlighted in search results. So by adding any of this markup, this does not guarantee that Google is going to choose to display this. This is just what you need to do to give yourself the best possible chance of having that happen. So this can tell us if we have implemented FAQ schema and there's any issues with it, and then any areas where this has been done correctly. But what this is also telling me is this may be an opportunity that we have not yet taken advantage of. Are there any pieces of content that we can go ahead and just simply add FAQs to at the bottom of the post? Could we use FAQ schema? And then maybe as those pages are starting to appear in search results, then we can take up more space and increase the traffic to our existing content. Another way to get an easy win. Next up is Sitelinks search box, and this is a really neat one. This is where Google actually chooses to put a search box right below your webpage in search results. So that way people can actually search on your website directly from the search results page. But Google is going to decide whether or not you get one. But this is your opportunity to add search box schema markup and make sure that you just have good navigation, good structure that you're using on your website. At Google, according to their guidelines and what you should follow if you want the best results, is to only add this markup to your homepage. And if you're not familiar with how to go about doing this is something that the Rank Math SEO plugin can do. I will link to the specific resource for that below in the description as well. Next up is unparsable structured data. And this means that if Google cannot read your structured data because there's an error or it just cannot determine which type it's actually supposed to be using, it's going to appear here as an error in this report. You can see now that there was previously some errors, but now those have all been resolved. And just as with the other reports down below, it'll tell you specifically what issues there were. We are seeing a downtrend in that, but we can click through and we can get more information on that. If you are seeing an error, you want more information about that, you want to jump over to the schema markup validator. You'll put in your URL and run a test there, and then you'll be able to see where the errors are popping up so you know what you need to fix. The last section under enhancements is videos. And videos are a really good way to be able to get content into Google search and even Google Discover. You might be using videos to get your website visitors to be able to learn more by watching the video instead of having to read a whole blog post, for instance, or be able to enhance the information provided about a particular topic. But doing what you can to make sure that your videos perform well in search is very helpful. So we did talk about videos earlier on, but we were referring to those videos being indexed, where here we're looking at how can we add video schema and to really tell Google what this is about. So this is going to let us know if there's any issues when it comes to having added video schema on those particular pages. Here we can see that we have an error for one particular video, and we can see that there are a number of reasons why, and another section here even on how to improve the item's appearance so that it will actually appear better in search results. So if we want those videos to appear, this is something that we need to take care of. If, on the other hand, if we're finding that our video is not actually being indexed, that's where we want to go back to our indexing section and click on videos. Now we're getting towards the end. We have covered so much here in Google Search Console. We're going to go ahead and jump to the security and manual actions section. This is hopefully a section that you never have to use, but in the event where something happens that we hope never does, you'll know exactly where to go and you'll be able to come back and know what to do in this section. So here we have two options. We have manual actions and we have security issues. So manual actions this is when Google issues a manual action against a site. That means that an actual human has reviewed the site at Google and they determine that the pages on the site are not compliant with some of Google's webmaster quality guidelines. So if you don't know those are important to know. I'll link to those down below as well. Always a good reference. If a site does have a manual action, some of that site or even all of that site will not appear in search results. So it is incredibly important that you know that you don't have any manual issues. So if you're ever looking at your analytics and all of a sudden traffic completely plummets, where there's no traffic coming in, you'll want to come check for a manual action. But as long as what you're doing, what you should be doing, usually this is not going to be an issue for you. So here you'll be able to see if there actually is a manual issue, and you'll also be able to see the history of any manual actions that have been taken against the site. Now the next one is the security issues. Now luckily for this, we don't have any security issues for this site right now, but there are a lot of common security issues that can pop up. So if Google ever determines that your site was hacked, that they have installed malware, they have installed unwanted software, they direct your visitors to another site, or they could do anything that could harm the visitor, their computer, you're going to start to see this in the security issues. And one of the reasons that this is good is that as the site owner, you may log into your website, you might visit your website, and you may never experience any of the issues that all the rest of your visitors do, because hackers are good. So they will make sure that you can't see that. So this is going to let you know if there's issues. So this is why it is also good to make sure you're checking your email, because Google will actually email you if there is an issue. And if there is, you want to follow up and look at that right away. And one of the reasons is because pages or sites that are affected by a security issue can appear with a warning label in search results or give a warning page in the browser when a user tries to visit them. And that is not a good impression for someone trying to visit your site. They're going to leave and go somewhere else. So if there is an issue here, you're going to see what that issue is. You're going to see a description. So that way you can get in and get it fixed. Now you will be able to ask Google to review once you have made fixes. Do make sure that if you ever have a security issue that you have fixed not just a page or a couple pages, make sure your absolute entire website is fixed so that then you can go back and ask Google. You don't want to send them a partially fixed site to take a look at. Now, we've really covered everything that you're going to need to know with Google Search Console, but there's a couple little things that I want to show you while I have you here. There is also a links and settings section. So we want to jump into links here. And this is going to show us all of our external links. This is websites that link to these specific pages on your website. So you'll see a list of your top pages that have the most links and how many links going to them from other websites. You will see your internal links. This is your top pages that you actually send internal links to. If you're not familiar with internal links, it's very powerful for SEO. I will leave some free video resources that I have down below. It's a great way to boost rankings for existing content that you have, for new posts that you create. And you'll see your top linking sites, which sites actually link to you the most. This can be a great way to look for affiliate programs. This can be a great way to look for partnerships or all kinds of things. So it's good to know as well. And then this top linking text section is the anchor text that other sites use when they're actually linking over to your website. And you'll see under each of these, you can simply click more and it will give you a full report on that. Now, lastly, we have the settings section. You probably won't be using this section much or really at all. This is going to show that you are verified. It's going to allow you to add new users if you ever want to give other users access, or let's say you have a client that you are working with and you want them to give you access to their Google Search Console account. This is where they're going to be able to add you in. Here it shows us that we are associated with another Google Analytics account, so we can see that we've already connected the two. So by going into Google Analytics, you can simply connect your two accounts. Your change of address, if you ever have a new domain and you need to redirect that old domain to the new one, this is where you can go in and do that. And if you need to export your data, this is all more advanced. You'll have that ability to do that here. And again, this is more of an advanced user report, the crawl stat. And this is typically if you have sites that have over 1,000 pages. This report shows you statistics about Google's crawling history on your website. So for instance, how many requests were made, when, what your server response was, and any availability issues that they came across. So you can use this report to detect whether Google encounters server problems when crawling your site and issues like that. So you have the total crawl requests. This is the total number of crawl requests issued for URLs in your site, whether they were successful or not. It includes a request for resources used by the page if these resources are on your site. You'll also have the total download size. And this is just the total number of bytes downloaded from your site during crawling for the specified time period. So if you see any spikes, then that's something that you want to pay attention to. And lastly, the average response time. This is the average response time for all the resources fetched from your website during the specified time period here. So if you have any resource that is taking a long time, or it's very heavy in resources here, then that's something that you would want to check on. And down below, you have host status. So this is going to describe whether or not Google encountered availability issues when trying to crawl your website. So if you don't have the best web host, for instance, and they keep going down, your site keeps going down a lot, and they're trying to access your website, they're going to start to let you know that here through this host status section. So this is saying that host had problems in the past. So it's saying that it's good now, but they did run into an issue. So usually if it had host problems in the past, it's been at least a week. Otherwise it would tell you, yes, we're having problems. And then we can look more into that. So you can see here, server connectivity issues, and there was a little issue right here on one day. So mostly it has been good. If you need recommendations for hosting, again, check the resources that link down below as well. Congratulations, you have successfully gone through all of Google Search Console, and I put together a completely free bundle for you that includes Google Search Console resources, a list of helpful tools that work alongside Google Search Console, some step-by-step instructions, and a calendar of when you should be using Google Search Console and specifically what you should be checking for. To get that, you can head to www.portableentrepreneur.com/GSC. If you have any questions at all about Google Search Console, don't hesitate to pop them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me, and I'll catch you on the next tutorial, so make sure to subscribe.